right, Renee, we're on. We're on the Speak Your Truth with Mark Ross podcast. I'm your host, Mark Ross, and with me this evening, I have the founder and CEO of the Fox Valley Warrior Aid Alliance,
I know it's a mouthful, right?
Miss Renee Cobb. Say your last
Kasuboski.
Casaboost. Yep, you got it. You got it. You got it.
Renee is good.
I'm just going to say Renee. um, Thank you for coming on and taking the time to speak with me. I found your organization a bit, very interesting because we're both our veterans.
Right.
You're the Army. I'll give you a little slack for that. And I'm with the Marine Corps.
Okay. I see how that is. So
He's
you're
all
saying
right.
I should have sent you crayons first before the podcast.
I had to, just throw that in there right quick. But I really wanted to have you on here just so I could help promote what you're doing.
No, we appreciate that.
And show the support, because we have to support one another in some form or fashion. You understand what I'm saying? So first question I want to ask you though is, and for all the viewers that are going to tune in and are paying attention, if you have any questions for Miss Renee that you want to ask regarding her organization, please do so. Okay, I just want to get that out there. But Renee, you were the founder.
Yep.
What led you down this road to starting this organization?
Right. That's a whole little thing all in itself. Of course it is, right?
Right.
My father is a Vietnam veteran. I'm a veteran. My sister, my daughter, my nephew. So come from a whole family.
Everybody.
My grandfather, right? And with that, I've been obviously a military brat plus military myself. That and along with my father being a Vietnam veteran, growing up, we didn't understand what post-traumatic stress was and how it affected people, right? Now, looking back on it, I can see exactly what happened with my dad, and how he was coping with things and why he did the things that he did. Like sometimes he would just disappear. Things got a little heated with me and my sister, and all of a sudden, dad would be gone. He also worked multiple jobs. I work multiple jobs myself. So, I get all the things he was doing then, but as a kid, you don't understand. At any rate, fast forward it to about 6 years ago, I started working with a company called School Specialty. And with School Specialty, we dealt with healthcare, but we also dealt with K through 12. And that wasn't just school supplies. It was social emotional learning. It was special needs. It was thinking of all these tangible tools in order to help kids to be able to get their head in the game with school, regardless of what backgrounds that they came from. Plus, we had the healthcare sector at School Specialty at the time. So we were dealing with healthcare facilities. And I was also the commander of Appleton American Legion Post 38 at the time. And so I was also involved in different Facebook groups with veterans with PTSD. Right. So in my head, I'm like, you know what? It'd be really great if we kind of married, the mental health care section for the veterans and first responders in the service members with some of these mental health type tools, right? So instead with kids, so I had back in 2018, I had to come up with this whole PowerPoint presentation, and on the mental health side, the company adapted it for but mental health care facilities, but didn't want to go down the area with the veterans and service members and first responders. I had this whole marketing outline. I had the demographic, I had the need, I had all the different organizations that could be part of this huge, this initiative. Well, they weren't interested at the time, so it kind of sat in a PowerPoint presentation on my desktop until last spring. I was at a Chamber of Commerce event with a friend of mine, and we were chit-chatting. She's just like, if you could do anything you'd want to do, what would you want to do? I'd be like, I want to revisit that the thought and idea I had on the mental health items for this demographic.
Mm.
And like, I just had to figure out what to do with it. So I was scrolling on Facebook and I came across a kit and I'm like, aha, duh. Yeah, of course. A kit, something that any veteran service member, first responder, I could send them home with it instead of them having to purchase it online and things of that nature, or to get a company backing. And I had already had prior business knowledge. I had a college level accounting and business law. And so I knew the basis on how to start a company or an organization. I had a sole proprietorship myself
Okay.
in advertising. And so I had rethought up the idea on how to reformat these ideas and these products that I knew were scientifically proven to work, and I created the kit. And so I had redone the PowerPoint presentation, the marketing, and the items, and I brought it before the Dave Holst, the Allegheny County CVSO, and to Heather, she was the FRG, or the acting FRG for the 127th. So I brought it before all the area veteran leaders that I knew and said, "Hey, what do you think of this idea?"
Mm.
And they're like, "Oh my God, this is a great idea.
Yeah.
Go for it."
Yeah.
So within 2 weeks, I had a board of 6. I had our articles of incorporation, of course, being past post commander. I knew about the bylaws, right, and articles of
Mm.
incorporation. So I had all those done within 2 weeks and had a fully functioning nonprofit. I had the website and the Facebook page and the marketing side, advertising. That's what I do for a living. And
Hey,
so I
you
had
know,
all
you were 10 toes on this thing, weren't you?
right? And so I've been waiting for this thing to happen since 2018. So I was just like,
Your
let's
toes
go,
down, man.
right? And so it started off very preliminary. We had just there was our bag. There was a bag, there was a weighted blanket, there was an eye mask in lavender spray. Like I said, it was very small and very like I said, preliminary. We were just starting out. But then I started to get the feedback from the veterans and the thinking and stuff like that. Now it's expanded into quite the kit.
Mm.
We have satin pillowcases, we have fidgets, we have our worry stone, we have a different eye mask that now has heating and cooling. We have a weighted neck and shoulder wrap, just based off of the feedback from some of the veterans that we've been dealing with. And then in researching the rate of suicide, not just between veterans but first responders as well. We have police, firefighters, and EMTs who see traumatic experiences on a daily basis, some of them, right?
Mm.
But then we were talking about the accidental overdoses. And I was just thinking to myself one day, mine were just vitamins and some very, very preliminary medications. And I didn't have, a pill kit and things like that. And I tried to take them at the same time every day. And all of a sudden I was like, maybe half an hour later, I'm like, did I take it or didn't I take that?
Mm.
I'm like, my brother-in-law had some pretty serious medications. He is a retired Ranger sniper. He had been blown up in Afghanistan. So he's on some strong
Heavy.
medications for different things, okay?
Indeed.
But he
Indeed.
didn't think that he took a certain pill, but he did. It almost killed him.
Mm.
And so in my head, I'm like, so if a veteran, dependent on what kind of meds they're on, if they can't remember to take them, or if they're so flustered with traumatic brain injury or anxiety, and they don't, so then they just choose not to take them because they're afraid that they can't keep it on schedule. So then I'm like, well, besides that, right? So what 20, 30, 40, 50-year-old wants a med kit that looks like it came from a nursing home? Right? Not saying it's bad, but to some degrees, depending on the age of the vet, it's kind of like adding insult to injury, right? So
Right.
I'm like, well, what if there was a more modern pill kit and we could, introduce it within our kits? So we came up with, I don't know if you can kind of see this one here.
A little blurry.
I know it's a little blurry, but anyway, on our website or on our Facebook page, we have the med kits that we have, and we also came up with this. There's a little card you
Okay.
can kind of see here.
Okay.
And the card is just a very short easy. If you need something like a mental to physical thing, say, put your med kit in the middle. If you have a number of pills, put them all on the left. Take one bottle at a time. Fill your med kit for every day of the week. Put it to the right. Now continue until all the bottles are to the right. You know, so it's just something extremely simple,
right,
but to help them. Like I said, if they have traumatic brain injury, or if they have maybe the number of pills that they have is overwhelming, just to look at the bottles that they have, period.
okay.
So
I got some
something else.
Right. I got some questions for you, and you spoke on a few things that I want to talk to you about. But first off, where are you located?
Oh, we're located in Appleton, Wisconsin.
Okay. And do you serve veterans only or everyone?
Not just everyone. Our particular organization, in our bylaws, we serve service members, veterans, first responders, and as of late, we also serve their children if they are in mental health need.
Okay. And I was going to ask you about the kits, but I'll wait. I'll wait for that. I want to go back.
Okay.
To you. I'm assuming that you went to the military because of your family background.
Yes, funny. So in high school, I was the tomboy for just growing up, period. I shot hoops. I had in high school, I took all the business classes, you know, advertising, business startup, marketing, but my art classes, I was not an artist. My sister is. I'm not. But my art classes were mechanical drafting, architectural drafting, woods, metals.
That's impressive. Wow.
Okay. In auto mechanics. So I took apart carburetors for fun.
All right. So are you still handy with a wrench and a socket?
When necessary, yes, I am. But then you're right. I was all set to go to UW Milwaukee for the for business school. However, you know, of course, the Army was there.
Right. It was falling.
You know, I have my whole entire life to do business, and I chose to be a diesel mechanic instead.
Imagine that.
Right.
Did you struggle readapting to civilian life when you got out of the service, or was it smooth for you?
Well, that's a story too, right? Like, because we all have a story.
Mm.
So after I got out, a friend had brought me, not saying that church is bad, but brought me to a church, and that church had rules, right? And for me, it made sense, oddly enough, because I went from following the rules of a drill sergeant or my superiors, right? Or my E7 or my first sergeant or my sergeant major, to following the rules somewhere else. So it was kind of structured the same, but unfortunately, I ended up marrying someone within that organization, and that ended up to be 14 years of a domestic abusive marriage.
Okay.
So my post-traumatic stress or complex post-traumatic stress isn't military related.
Okay.
But it's domestic violence related.
Gotcha.
But regardless of where your post-traumatic stress comes from, it all reacts the same neurologically.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
So it took when I went to I was at the Harbor House right after before when I first left my marriage, and we were at counseling, and we asked, of course, you know, the crazy question you're going to ask anyway is like, when can we date, right? You know, and the lady says 6 years. Oh. And we're like, no way, right? Okay, 11 years later, she was actually underestimating. It took me 9. So
it took you 9 years to move on mentally and
well, not just mentally. So like when I say that post-traumatic stress reveals itself the same no matter where it comes from, it is the the panic attacks in certain situations, it's the
Yes.
withdrawing, it's the unhealthy coping mechanisms for a hot minute, it's finding your way, it's feeling like you're a different person every year because you're growing through everything. So yeah, it took me 9 years. It'll be 11 years this April. But yeah, in the midst of that, I found let's see. So I left in 2014. I joined the American Legion in 2015. 2017, I was the commander, and I was the third female in 100 years. And I'm going to tell you,
Congratulations.
to some degree, right? I mean, it was good and all. Okay. However, you also fight the fact that because you're female, you're not necessarily welcome to be there or to hold that position. And so you go from one one traumatic experience to some of the same traumatic triggers that you had in the situation that created that initially. And then you feel like you're dealing with some of the same stuff.
So it kind of gave you a flashback to some extent, huh?
Yes. However, I had the tenacity and the support in order to stay regardless. But I also learned through that experience, regardless of what went on. I mean, every organization, whatnot, you're going to have your issues, right? But it taught me a bunch of things that I wouldn't have learned any other way, right? Some people could say, "Oh, I'm sorry." I'm not sorry. It formed me to who I am, and without the experience that I have, I couldn't have created these kits and to be able to relate how I do today.
Indeed.
But again, it also like the satin pillowcases are because I found them helpful. Like it was a neurological thing to me. And I'm like, oh crap. I'm like, you know what? I bet if it helps me, it can help somebody who's struggling with the same thing that I do.
Right. Speaking of that, those kits, what do those kits consist of?
Do you want me to show you I don't know if I don't even know if I can show you. Just because it ends up to be fuzzy right now.
You're right.
So let's see, I don't know if it's gonna let me show you because I did bring them. So we have, let's see. Yeah, it's not gonna really show me, is it?
No, it's not. Just tell me.
At any rate, the thought was there. Okay, so we have everything comes in a duffel bag. Right, and it says Fox Valley Warrior 8 Alliance on it. It has a little dog tag that says Warrior Response Toolkit.
Nice.
And then it comes with an 8 to a 15-pound weighted blanket that fits a twin size bed. Then there is a weighted neck and shoulder wrap, and you can either put it in the microwave to make it hot, or you can put it in the freezer to make it cold. So you get the best of both worlds. Then there is an eye mask that comes in there that has, some of them have like a little gel in it. So if you need cooling around your eyes.
Yeah.
We have the satin pillowcases. So the weighted blankets provide the deep pressure therapy. One of my board members, Lottie, she had made a good comment one day when we were first talking about it. She's like, "Oh, she's just because she has a service dog," and she's like, "That blanket would be great." So then the times if I'm sitting at home or if I'm on the couch or watching a movie or something, and I'm triggered, my dog doesn't have to be on all the time. I can have my blanket with me so my dog can have time off because the blanket's providing the same therapy that my service dog would. So that was great insight that I wouldn't think of because I don't have a service dog. So the satin pillowcases, it's the coolness that is on your face and your skin. So sometimes I have like a pillow in front of me and behind me, and it's just a neurological thing in that texture.
Sure.
We have a fidget kits. So just little things you can play with in your hands, couple different versions. We have a chamomile and lavender spray that's aromatherapy that I've had veterans and first responders, they spray them on their clothes, they spray them on their pillowcase, on their bed. Wherever they go, they really like the scent and it helps to calm them. We have stress balls. We have a worry stone. The worry stone, I actually was handed to in a bad situation when I was with the Harbor House, and they handed it to me and said, "Hey, put this in your hand, and when you when your anxiety starts to rise, play with it in your hand. So in my head, I'm like, okay, so if a veteran is in a domestic situation, which they may have issues or with responding, maybe not in the best manner, that the worry's still in their pocket, they could take it out, play with it, take a couple seconds before they react to the situation. That might help them better in a seemingly maybe potential hostile situation that it may become, just to give them a couple extra seconds to think about it.
Got it.
We have a service duck, of course. So
Service what?
Service duck. Now it's probably not even gonna let me show you too, huh? There.
Oh, I see it. Oh, yeah.
So we have all the branches, including firefighter ducks and police officer ducks, and of course all the branches. And then we also partner with the Center for Suicide Awareness, and they provide us a number of literature about aromatherapy, breathing techniques, how to have the conversation. They also have, it's called Don't Duck the Conversation, which is this great little pamphlet that talks about how to talk to somebody or asking the right questions if they know that somebody's struggling with possible suicide or just struggling in general. And then we also have our brochure that's in there that goes through and talks about the main items in our kit, the science behind them, and how the veteran, service member, first responder is supposed to use those items.
Nice. Because I was going to ask, what resources do you guys utilize, to help people? But you gave me a good dose of resources, and thank you for that. One big question, though, I want to ask about your organization is, and I want you to talk about this, the reality of suicide that occurs with veterans. And like you said, you also work with first responders. Talk about the reality of that, and how real suicide is for us, veterans and first responders.
So I had, been to the QPR training. I have been part of the number of suicide events across the city and things like that for a number of years. And going through, I found on militarytimes.com, it says that the suicide rate for veterans is not 22. Some people might argue with me, but it depends on where you get your information. They said that the actual suicide rate is more than doubled, which would be 40 veterans a day. At 40 veterans a day, if you do the math, in 10 years is over 160,000 veterans in 10 years who have committed suicide. First responders, depending, are about 25%. And that's, to me, that was unacceptable. There is, and then there's, I just saw an article the other day about the government asking why they were giving out all these millions of dollars to veterans organizations if it wasn't helping the suicide rate. That's how I know that we'll just say this, some websites isn't correct, because if they were correct, the government wouldn't be asking why the money wasn't being helpful. And that's, of course, if you know as well as I do, that it's a number of reasons, right? There is, it's not just post-traumatic stress from the event or from their time of service or whatever happened to them, right? It is finances, it's domestic situations, it's a possible, if they get divorced, it's seeing their kid, right? And be able to handle that. It's the mental health side of the house. It's what happens at their job. It's being reintegrated into society. It's their health. It's being able to get into mental health, or some of I know some veterans who have had mental health appointments that were pushed out over a year. I know of a veteran who came into the VA clinic in Appleton, needed mental health, but there's only one person physically there, so that person was sent away. Okay, so there is a number of reasons, or there's also we can go down medication again. There's the ones who don't get the medication they need. There's the veterans who get the wrong medication, who are over medicated, or have the wrong combination of meds. So there is a plethora of reasons. And so if we don't tackle, if we can't take care of the major things, right, then we have to provide them tools, which was why I wanted the kit. I want to provide them tools that they could use every single day. Resorts and retreats and things like that are great. right? But what happens outside of those retreats and the resorts or the camp, right? What do they have that they can use every single day? So that's why we want to provide the kids.
And the reason I'm asking that question of you is because, number one, it's it it affected me because I could have been a statistic, right? I know people who have attempted that.
Mark, I have one of the other big reasons is that I myself have been there. Okay. I know the dark place neurologically. I know exactly, when family members say, I don't understand how this person could have committed suicide when they have a loving family and when they have this and when they have that. And I can tell them exactly why.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because for me, you become in a dark place that physically blocks out any of those people.
Everybody.
You become very what's the word I'm looking for? Indifferent. Right? Like nothing matters. All you think about at the time is you don't want to be here. And you just want to end. You think of, you know what? If I just do this, I just don't have to be here anymore. And if they and then you get to the point where let's say I had reached out to someone and I was told to shut up and stop being stupid. Okay. That wasn't helpful. But then I was also taken away from all my resources, which made it worse. So yeah, so I know exactly where that person is. That's why. So hey, you've heard of QPR training, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Question, persuade, refer. I took that when I was a commander. We had them at our post, and it made me angry.
Why?
Because anybody who is in that mind frame isn't going to talk to anyone. They're not going to be reaching out. I wasn't going to be. And they're like, I was at the point, some places where I would come home from work, come home, not turn on the lights, be in the complete dark, and just lay on the couch. And I could remember, and my dog laying on top of me, and I remember I couldn't talk, I couldn't speak, I couldn't hum. I felt paralyzed. So if you're paralyzed, right, and you can't speak and you don't want to, how are you supposed to reach out to someone?
You feel as though you're alone. And
but you don't want to burden anyone else.
Right. Oh, and that part, and or you don't think that nobody can relate to you.
Right.
So it goes back to the alone piece.
Yeah.
Right. And that's how I felt. I didn't feel happy inside, but on the outside, I carried myself well. So if I was to tell somebody I'm not feeling happy, man, what you talking about?
Yep.
You have a lot of reasons to be happy. And it's like, okay, but I don't. That's the thing. I don't.
Right. No, I completely get it.
So it's like, you're not listening to me, brother.
Yep.
I don't. Forget the fact that I should be. I don't.
Right.
Right now, I do not feel happy. And I'm talking to you about it. It goes back to, and I want you to give me your opinion on this. A lot of people, veterans included, we have this shame when we feel inadequate,
right,
that we failed, or that we've been involved in situations that we know that we shouldn't have gotten ourselves into, right?
Right.
But we did it.
Right.
We survived it, but it messed us up here.
Right.
you mentioned that you went through some things, and you said that because of that, you pretty much isolated yourself for a couple of years.
Oh, I did.
Intentionally.
Oh, intentionally,
It
yes.
was intentional. So how can we break that cycle, the mental cycle of shame and fear and inadequacy? Because a lot of us, you just said the numbers. I thought it was 20. I thought it was 21. You said it was 42.
No, it's at least 40. They said it was double. So
Yeah,
yeah,
so it's freaking double from what I thought it was.
it's because the reporting is why, in the how they classify a suicide, that's why the numbers are skewed. And remember, not everybody has a DD2. Not every family can find or provides the DD214 to provide the death in those situations as well.
And if more people did submit information, that number will probably be higher.
Mm-hmm. The other day I was talking with my brother-in-law, and because he was career military, and we were chit-chatting or whatever, and I'm like, how do you encourage yourself? I'm like, I want to know, do you think it's childhood related? Do you think it's military related, or other related?
Hmm.
And I'm like, I don't encourage myself in a positive light at all. And then when I encourage myself, I like, if my kids said that's how they encourage myself, I'd be like, you can't say that, right? So I'm just gonna be frank, right? Because we're on this podcast.
Let's keep it a buck. Keep it a buck with me. Let's go. Let's go.
Right? It would be like, you stupid fuck. Get your head out of your ass and get your shit straight.
Typical military response.
Exactly. But that's how I encourage myself.
and it's I think that's common.
Right. It is common.
Because
but is it right?
But is right. Right. But is it right? Absolutely not.
Right?
Absolutely not.
That's what we were trained to do.
But that's what we were trained to do. Yes.
That's what you're trained to do.
Suck it up, Buttercup.
Push yourself over the next hump, right?
Yeah. Suck it up, Buttercup. Let's go.
Right. Get your shit straight.
Get your shit straight. Get go. Hey, chop chop. Let's go. We got 4 miles.
Right.
We ain't done yet.
You're dying. Get some fucking duct tape. Go on, get a split. Let's go.
Hey.
Take some ibuprofen.
Whatever it takes.
Right.
And
that's
man, listen, you give me flashbacks right now. I swear. The true grit that we had to endure, though, I think that in retrospect, it took a toll on us after we got out. Because for me, when I got out of the military, I struggled readapting to this,
right,
to life, because I was used to the structure, the order, the respect of things, and this was so uncouth to me.
right.
I was like, I can't deal with this. I need some structure because I'm gonna lose my shit. It's like, right. I battled many times calling the recruiter back, say, hey man, I want to go back to North Carolina, man. This ain't it.
I've heard that a number of times. I've even heard career soldiers say, God, I wish I could just go back to Afghanistan.
They'd rather go back to freaking war.
Yeah, because there was structure there. And here, back home, there's not structure.
No, none.
But they would rather be in a war zone,
right,
than be here.
That's very telling about the world that we live in, isn't it?
Yeah. Well,
but nobody wants to talk about that.
Well, that's it too, right? But we're also very, veterans are also part of this as well, right? So we want to talk about the suicide rate, and we want to talk about mental health, and we want to talk about getting getting the our mental health in check, right?
Mm-hmm.
In the same token, right? What do you see all over social media?
Bullshit.
Mm-hmm. But not just that. That's
I
just
mean,
bullshit, right? But if you go into like if you're in any veterans organization for any amount of time, right? You're going to get the backstabbing. You're going to get the you're going to get those who are going to be saying cruel things to you. Our society is very much a I want to berate you and bully you until you pull the trigger, and then I want to act shocked because you did.
Gaslighting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So we not only have soldiers, veterans, and service first responders who are struggling with what they do on a daily basis or what they've done, right?
Right.
And now you want to get, we want to attack police officers, we want to attack service members, we want to attack veterans, we want to attack each other. It's kind of funny. It made me think of, what is it? Is it pheasants? Pheasants and chickens, right? Which is funny, right? Pheasants and chickens, what do they do to the weakest member?
I don't know.
They attack it and kill it. It's kind of the same mentality. If you think about it, to some degree, our society is very much a pick the weakest link that you can find and let's attack it until it's gone.
You're the weakest link. Goodbye.
Right?
Yeah.
So, and not only that, but veterans know that somebody posed the question, I don't understand why the veterans, the government doesn't take care of veterans. We shouldn't need veterans organizations. Well, that is not the case. And who generally takes care of veterans? Veterans. Right? Because we get each other, because we understand.
Right.
Because we give a shit, because we have each other's six, right?
Right.
So at the end of the day, there's the percentage of people who join the military, right? And then there's a percentage of that percentage that go on to the continuous service to where they don't ever stop serving. Right? I'm gonna say some service members, veterans, they're completely cool with not, with trying to integrate into civilian life. But then there's a percentage of the other side, right, that they will not stop. They will be involved in every organization, at every different nonprofit. They will exhaust themselves to death. Okay. Because first of all, they can't stop. They have continuous service and they can't physically stop. They can't mentally stop. My daughter said to me the other day when I told her I got another job, she's just like, why can't you sit in silence with your thoughts like the rest of us? No.
That's dangerous.
But think of it this way too, Mark. So we do all this stuff on a daily basis and we work and we have the nonprofits and we help our brothers and sisters out, right? But is it ever enough? No.
To us, probably no.
No. They always say, there's that old adage that says, if I save one person, it's enough. No, it's not. Because after you save that one person, then you need to save the next person, and then the next, and the next, and the next. Because at the end of the day, out of that small percentage who serves the country, who continues to serve, how many people is that to the whole population? Think about that. If you believe in the 20/80 principle, right? The 20/80 principle that says, let's say if there's a bake sale, 20% of the people will do 80% of the baking, or in a veterans organization, 20% of the people will do 80% of the work. Right? If you think about the population in billions, whatever the hell it is, right? You got 20% who are taking care of the 80% or less. Right? That 20% can also get really exhausted. So sometimes that 20% also forgets to take care of itself too, because they're too busy taking care of everyone else. I know, I went on a tangent.
Oh no. I mean, you're good. I had to bring that up because number one, as a veteran, I know the struggle that many of us have or had during our military tour duty and after, right? Uh, and like I mentioned, I don't know if I mentioned this, but my my PTSD symptoms didn't kick in until a few months after my release. So it started with the nightmares.
Yeah.
And then it graduated to night terrors, where, I would wake up screaming and sweating like I ran a marathon.
Did
Um,
you have the daymares too?
I'm sorry.
Did you have the daymares too?
They,
So where you see stuff during the day?
no, no, I didn't. It was mainly at night, and I was already a drinker at the time, and I started drinking heavier because I
No,
thought,
make you sleep.
yeah, yeah, and so I almost had two problems
Hmm.
because I was a working alcoholic at that point. Because uh, I'm gonna keep it real honest with you. I was drinking practically every day, but it gradually increased from Monday to Sunday. I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
So, Monday, I had a couple beers, maybe a couple drinks, nothing too much. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, yeah, yeah, I got drunk.
Yeah.
Wednesdays, Fridays and Saturdays, I drank to blackout.
Yeah.
I didn't want to remember nothing, and I really wanted to just sleep, and I couldn't because I was always waking up in the middle of the night screaming and
Yeah.
and scared, you know. Um, I didn't know what was going on with me at the time, and quite frankly, I didn't want to know. So I
Right.
hid it and
Hmm.
I carried it. I carried that shame with me, and it really, really affected me, and it took me down that dark road,
Right.
uh, which is which is one of the reasons why I'm doing this, because I want to let my brothers and sisters that served and that are still going through that it's okay to not be okay.
Oh, it absolutely is.
It's okay.
And then you asked earlier, what can we do, to try and kind of change that narrative in their head? The first one I'm going to say is that the light bulb has to come on for themselves,
Indeed.
right? You can tell someone all day long. You can tell them what to do. You can give them counseling. You can talk it out.
Yeah.
But until that aha moment and that light bulb goes on in their head, they're going to continue on that same cycle. But the most important thing is that just to be there, to know that when they have that moment, you can keep feeding them all the resources and things like that. And
Yeah.
eventually, well, hopefully anyway, that light comes on, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
all we can do, like I said, is to provide those resources and to be there, period. The other thing is, I know there's different organizations out there, I'm not going to name names, where they want to train everyone for suicide prevention, right? I'm going to say that's kind of a dangerous rabbit hole too.
Mm-hmm.
For the sheer fact of the potential. So first of all, we have veterans who have weapons, some of them, right?
Oh, many.
Um, and who might not be in a good headspace. I'm not saying that those two, well, you know what I mean. At
Yeah.
any rate, like I got a call from a friend of mine whose husband was a Marine Corps veteran who was struggling with post-traumatic stress. I got a call that he was banging his head against the floor, and that she was too afraid to be there. So, of course, I thought nothing about driving to their house, right, and going to check on them because she asked me to.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. When I walked in the door, there was silence. I called his name multiple times and I did not hear anything.
Mm-hmm.
So, Mark, what is the potential that I could have walked into?
Could have
Into
walked.
somebody's house?
Could have walked into a bullet.
Or I could have walked into
A dead.
a crotch suicide, a dead body.
Yeah.
You walked into a dead body. I could have
Yep.
walked into a gun to me. Um, but I didn't think about that at the time. But I
Mm-hmm.
was fully confident that I could handle the situation. Okay, knowing I knew full well what I was walking into, and I walked into it multiple times.
Mm.
And
Mm.
it makes sense. People have to realize that those are the potential situations you can walk into if you decide that you're going to go down this road. It's not a bad road if you want to talk to somebody over the phone, if you want to chit chat, whatever, but be prepared for the possibility of walking into those situations.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the fate depart, but like just one word before I forget, my ADHD is the fact that it's not just a one and done. Okay, 988 and those text hotlines or the 74141 or 741 and 988, those are great things to have if they need to. However, they have to realize that it's not just a single phone call. Okay. If you're going to talk to a veteran, that veteran's going to need somebody who's going to be there, who's seriously honest to God has their six, who pays attention to those subtleties in their behavior, in their changes, in their outlook. Otherwise, you're going to miss it. I had taken in a young lady some years ago who was in an abusive family. Okay. She was suicidal. I brought her into my house. We went through, I've also been with somebody else who tried to commit suicide 6 times by overdoses. I've been with somebody through withdrawal. I've been with them through the hot and cold shakes. I've been with them through the screaming and begging to go to the emergency room because they need their fix or their alcohol or their meds so that they can get out of that.
Yeah.
It is not just in those situations, it's just not a phone call. It's being able to sit with them through withdrawal or whatever they need to go through. It's being able to sit with them through those tough conversations. It's being able to sit with them saying, if they call 988 and the police show up, you can sit there and be with them in order to talk them off the ledge or to be able to talk to the police officer or whatever. It's messy. It can be messy. It's not just a Facebook chat. It's not just a text line. If we really truly want to help our brothers and sisters in post-traumatic stress and getting through the mental health, so we are truly helping the suicide rate go down so that they can live productive lives, it's being able to get them over that hump that they can be happy and lead to successful lives.
How can people support your organization, Renee?
Well, there's a number of different ways. So we have Fox Valley Warrior Aid Alliance.com. We have our Facebook page. We have our websites. On our website, you can either donate directly from our website via PayPal. You can send a check. You can go to our Amazon wish list. We have a wish list there. So if you have a couple bucks, that's great. We're not asking for anything huge. We also understand the economy as it is as well. But just simple things like that. We also have different members who want to say, hey, can I sponsor a first responder? Can I sponsor a child in a Resilient Kids Resource Kit? Absolutely. So then they pay the $125. We make sure that the kit is fulfilled, and then I personally deliver it, or if they want to deliver it, they can as well. And we also work with the Fox Valley Veterans Council. We've with the Allegheny County Service Office, the Fond du Lac County Veteran Service Office. We give out kits to the Northeast Wisconsin, into the Milwaukee area, and Fond du Lac as well. It just makes it difficult because there's 6 members and there's pretty much just 2 of us who do all the deliveries. We're trying to make it personal as possible. And if they do possibly have a veteran, Ladia, she's a traveling veteran advocate. And sometimes she runs into veterans who are in need with traumatic brain injury or intense situations. And sometimes she'll send money and I will mail it out. I have no problem mailing out a kit as long as we try to keep all of our fees covered.
Indeed. Finally, here's a question that I just thought about. What message could you give to our brothers and sisters who are struggling in silence?
That it's a daily walk. It's not a quick fix, and you're not going to find a quick fix. It's being able to force yourself, and you're going to hate forcing yourself because I hate it. I hate feeling like I'm making myself get out of bed some days. I don't like the fact that I feel like I'm forcing myself to exercise, but I know I need to.
Indeed.
It's forcing yourself out of the hole. And if you're tenacious enough to serve your country or die for someone else, right? You should be able to be tenacious enough to do it for yourself. And not only that, we need to realize that other people need us too. Okay, whether it's our spouses, whether it's our children, whether it's our brothers and sisters, we don't understand. Sometimes we don't realize the true impact we leave on other people in the world that would traumatically affect those people should we choose the other road.
I want you to say that again. You said if you have the tenacity and to fight and die for your country, you should have this. You should have the tenacity to fight for yourself.
Yep.
That's a nugget right there.
It's not selfish. Sometimes we think it's selfish to think of ourselves.
You have to be sometimes.
Yeah.
So I'm not sorry to say that. Selfish. Yeah. When it comes to your life.
Yeah. It's okay to take care of your health. It's okay to take care of your mental health. It's okay to get that massage. It's okay to go to that whatever it is you need that's healthy, right?
Yeah.
Let me say right. So any coping mechanism can be bad if it's overdone. Okay. We also need to learn moderation. It took me a long time to be able to. I injured myself 6 times in overdoing exercise. I messed up my hamstring 6 times because I took a freaking hard-headed to learn moderation and in competition with myself. We just have to remember it's okay to love ourselves. It's okay to make sure to take care of us so we can take care of the other people that are around us too, right? If we sincerely want to help other people and we want to serve our communities, our families, if we're not taking care of ourselves, we're really not, we can't do those things effectively.
Yeah. Yeah. How can people contact you?
They can contact me at info@foxvalleywarrior8alliance.com. I know that's a mouthful. On our Facebook page, we have Messenger there. And my contact information is also at the bottom of our on our website too.
Okay.
Okay, so just real quick. So a lot of veterans or first responders don't want to reach out to me directly, which is fine. We have a sign-up sheet at the bottom of our website. Okay, it's a form fill. So you're going to put in your name, your phone number, your address, your branch of service. If you have a DD-214, if you're a first responder, which kind of first responder you are, and then we'll make sure to get you a kit that way.
Awesome. Renee Kasuboski, it has been a privilege to take some time to speak with you about, excuse me, about your organization, and good to have a veteran talk.
No, it absolutely is.
Yeah.
And I'll coordinate with Leslie and we'll get you one of those kits.
Okay.
Well, you know, he's my inside man.
Yeah, I know. And I was just talking to him earlier this afternoon. So yeah, that'll be awesome. That'll be and greatly appreciated for sure. I think my wife would enjoy that more than I would. For sure. But yes, this has been a good conversation, and I hope that your organization continues to do well, and I hope that you being on my platform could uplift it in some form or fashion. So
appreciate that very much so. And as of today, so we started June 28th of 2024, and as of this past week, we've donated 52 warrior response toolkits to a variety of actual active duty service members, veterans, and first responders.
Awesome. Well, ladies and gents, my name is Mark Ross, and this has been another episode of the Speak Your Truth with Mark Ross podcast. Remember, guys, self-care is important. So please make your mental health and your physical health a priority. Do it every day and do it first. Be selfish, especially with your physical and mental health. Renee, you have a good evening. Ladies and gentlemen, you guys also have a good evening.
You too.
Take care
Thanks,
now.
Mark.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.